Our church was built in 1912 and it was called the Little Church on the Hill. And so because we're on the top of a hill, stormwater runs off on all sides. So we have water running down the front of our property, across the parking lot, out the back, and all the stormwater from the parking lot, the roads, and the sidewalks has to go somewhere. All of our stormwater empties into Cypress Creek. It goes under Ritchie Highway in a culvert and dumps right into Cypress Creek.
We've had 4 or 5 different projects over the course of 8 years. 4 of those have happened all within the last 18 months. The first one was 8 years ago with our rain garden, which was to handle all the sheet flows coming off of the church parking lot. It's immediately adjacent to our community center and was extremely successful in capturing that water. Another project was handling water coming off of our parking lot on the east side, and that is most of that goes into this forested area over here, as well as behind me over here in a bioswale that we created to handle all the water coming directly off of the parking lot. So all of the rooftop water, much of it goes into a containment vessel over there, which then overflows and goes into the woods right here behind me. And then other areas we have it going out over our field in the front of the property. The project on the Hilltop Road is where we had a lot of sloughing from a steep edge there that in time we would have lost our sidewalk there.
The erosion was a deep culvert down this side that was carrying actually not only sediment but small gravel. That much water was running down this hill, and as cars parked along here, that made the little trench even worse, and the encroachment into the property here was actually threatening to take out the sidewalk that's further down. We were only about maybe 8 inches away from losing the edge of the sidewalk. So the erosion was an ongoing, and with these more severe rainstorms, getting worse, problem that we dealt with. So the fix for this was to pave the road, put in this hard curb, and then bank the remaining part of the hill with as many native shrubs, deep-rooted native shrubs as opposed to the turf grass that used to be here, to capture this stormwater.
So here at Woods Church we have a slope, and the slope leads to a large paved area. So it's an impervious surface, and eventually that water that comes during the storms goes into the storm drain and into the bay. And so we want to prevent and slow down as much of that water as we can, because we know it's polluted. It carries things that we don't want to be introducing into our rivers. So most important is to have erosion control plants that can survive on a slope, and also a density of plants, because we don't want to be mulching, and on a slope in particular, mulch is likely to run off. So we want to have a dense understory layer and then a shrub layer. And we have some plants here that are blooming at different times of the season, so we'll see bees frequently on these plants. And then as the fall comes on, some of the plants that had the bees visiting them will now have berries on them, and they'll be very colorful, so the viburnums in particular. So it's really also important to have the right plant that can take the particular site. Not just having an erosion control plant, they need to be also able to take the sun conditions. And here we have a lot of sun, and so we have planted New Jersey tea. New Jersey tea has a very deep taproot, it's very drought tolerant, and it's a really good ground covering plant. So here at Woods Church, when we did the design, we wanted to have some seasonal interests. And that's important because birds and other animals need native plants throughout the season, not just during the flowering season. So here at Woods Church, we've made an effort to have plants that are blooming in the spring, in the summer, and have a lot of things going on in the fall. And I try to encourage people to really appreciate that the seasons are an important part of the Mid-Atlantic states. And when we plant plants that have berries and seeds, and we keep them on the plants in the off-season, during the winter in particular, then we are introducing and maintaining a habitat that's really crucial. Native plants are the one thing that you can plant to support pollinators and birds. So we know that biodiversity relies on native plants. And the one reason why native plants are most important is because the food web, the caterpillars that are supported by the shrubs and the trees that we plant, are the food for all of the other fauna in our environment. And of course, with pollinators, we know that over 85% of our plants are pollinated by bees. So we need to have bees in the community, and we need to be comfortable with that. So planting native plants is an educational opportunity at schools, for churches, for all communities. Native plants also, of course, are native to our community, so you're going to find them very low maintenance and adapted to the environment.
The little things that everyone can do in their own congregation, in their own yard, to conserve, to protect, to restore, really is a great step forward, and these plantings really illustrate that. My favorite thing about it, it's kind of superficial, is how beautiful it looks. Here we've put in stormwater controls with native plants, which sounds like it might be, weedy or not inspiring, and it's so inspiring. We actually made a brochure to give out to members of the congregation that showed before and after pictures, and it's really, now it's become a showcase. People can drive down this little lane and they can see a whole bevy of native plants, many different species, that the tags are there that identify them, and they can go home and use the same plants and in the same locations on any steep slope, on any dry area, and have equally good success. So it just looks so good. It's so pretty.